Welcome back to our monthly series where I sit down and read through comics that I bought a long time ago, and it's time to read them. I don't think I need to refresh you. If you haven't seen the first episode, what are you doing? This one won't make any sense. Go watch that. Now, how about a shortened intro? Because I also don't think we need a full minute long every single time. I was getting the thumbnail photo just before shooting, because I typically leave it until the end, and then sometimes I forget, and I have to do it another point. Over the last month, we are now in December as of recording this. It will be different when you're viewing it. I have read through the first story arc of Nightwing's official series. I don't remember where we left off last time, but A Night in Bludhaven. Bludhaven. October of 1996 through May of 1997. That's the notes I have. I believe it is all done by this Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel, and does Carl Story stay on the entire? Yes, there's Story on every one of these. So we got the same three people working on this. Let's get into it. While I have them here in their bags and boards, we can see that I paid $4 for the number 1. Looks like I picked this one up. Issue 2 was $6. Number 3 was $6. Number 4 was $5. Number 5 was $5. $4, $6, $4. So I paid premium for all of these, more than sticker price, if that's... is that what you consider it? These were, in 1996 to 1997, they were $1.95 an issue. I paid more than double for every one of them. And that was the only way I was going to collect them. Let's get this out of here without getting the tape on it. And begin. I'll fix my camera. So issue number 1. We start out. Nightwing's already in trouble, right from the get-go. He's underwater and handcuffed to something. Yeah, we'll figure out more about that later. But as I went through, taking some notes, reading the story, again, just as a refresher, I'm not going to show everything here, but there are 21 bodies here with their heads twisted around backwards. Batman is talking to Nightwing, Dick Grayson, explaining what's going on and why, and it's their sister city. Gotham apparently has a sister city called Bludhaven, down to the south, I think they said. Guess where Nightwing's off to. Grabs a bag and heads out, and there he is. Going down into Nightwing, just in a day's work, the first thing he does is goes to save kids that are locked into a fridge. Stop them, they have my babies. He swings into action, as he does, or more importantly, kind of acrobat launches himself into it. All these guys with the masks, he goes through this entire thing. Didn't count on a runaway fridge. There's also something, if you remember from last time I talked about, I was like, I don't realize how long of a ponytail Dick Grayson has. Well, not anymore. They take care of that in one swipe. And he even makes a joke about how long it took him to grow that ponytail. Well, that's gone. Now we're into late 90s hairstyle, I suppose. So this whole thing is a fight over what's in the fridge. He's trying to do it. He thinks there's kids locked in there. I also thought there were kids locked in there because that's kind of what they said, but not exactly. There's something else in there. They talk about, they're talking about eggs. So not kids in the sense of that, but, old-fashioned baby gravy. You can't say that. With the intros, now he wraps it up. He gets handcuffed to this fridge and thrown into the ocean. And he's got to escape, which, of course, magnesium flare. It's pretty easy for him to do. And then you get a bit of this guy, mob boss, who has a blue face. There's a bit of a police backstory, and then Nightwing foolishly walks right into the office and goes, here you go, put these eggs on ice, and instead is handcuffed. He's a vigilante, right? That's the first issue. I thought it was interesting the way that they introduced it. He's still kind of working with Batman, clearly. Batman was the one who told him to go take on this and figure out what was going on with the twisted head bodies showing up. And then he heads off to Bludhaven to kind of make a name for himself there as well. And now on to issue 2. That's more of a classic cover. Look at the bats you got going on. He's up on top of something with the old cathedral-style gargoyle. That's what you call it. So, what's happening here? Now, he was arrested before, and now he's being held at gunpoint. That's kind of weird, right? So that's a whole thing, but it turns out he's not really going to kill him. He's going to let him go. They can work together. Oh, and he escapes the handcuffs. A whole thing. This guy's name is Dudley Soames? Soames. Maybe that's pronounced correctly. I don't know. But there's that. Quick change back into his regular clothes, and he's got to rent an apartment. He also has a lady landlord, and he's immediately trying to hit on her, of course. I did like the commentary that they did here about he disagreed with Batman being in the Batcave, which was outside city limits instead of being like right inside Gotham, which makes sense. And also, I talked about last time, and I'm still kind of playing here and there Gotham Knights, and they actually have like a centrally located Gotham tower, so I thought that was also pretty neat. I don't know what it goes through into other things. I'm now comparing a story from 1996 to a game that came out just a couple of years ago, so I'm sure that there's more to it than that. But we jump back to our other plot with these guys in masks. At this point, reading through it, I still don't know what's up with this. We get some acrobatic stuff going on. They always seem to include in every issue one of these splash pages, I think they'd be called, with him just jumping all over the place and kind of flipping around. It's cool. So there's a whole storyline here, again, with these guys in the masks where he's trying to figure out what's going on. They've got, like, old cars that they're bringing into the country. It doesn't really understand. It also didn't really make any sense to me. And it goes through this entire thing, and then we get a bit more plot line for some other stuff. So, more mystery and intrigue. This one ends up ending with one of the masked guys, and then you got this clown guy here who's going to put a bullet in him. Jump around. Instead, the bullet goes in that guy instead. And I assume Pajama Boy, they're talking about Nightwing, because they joke that he's in his pajamas, in his outfit. So we're still going on, bit of mystery intrigue. There's a mention right there at the end of that one of a Mr. Black Mask. So you're starting to get a bit of an idea of who the main villain is here, what's going on. Issue 3, you get a cover image where he's now using the Eskrima sticks. That's one of my favorite aspects to him. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm a couple issues into this point when I'm reading through it and I'm taking the notes and doing this whole thing. I'm really not following the story very well. It's kind of all over the place. I'm not super digging it, I guess. It's not clicking with me, like what even the point is and what's going on here, but we'll see. We'll continue going. I wasn't going to stop now. I've made this entire thing about it to try to read through all of them. I'm going to read them whether I enjoy them or not, but I was still enjoying it. It wasn't grabbing me like that first miniseries was. And that's maybe because they know they have a much longer story arc to kind of tell the story out. Opening right up with just flipping into action like he's, some kind of acrobat or something, right? One of the ways you're going to draw Nightwing is in all kinds of positions. I don't know how well acrobats often do entire flips over with splits in the middle of it, but I'm not an acrobat, so what can I say? So here we are. We're back to the apartment storyline here. I like this little piece of commentary, and boy, did it ring true still all this time later. He's got this little apartment side storyline where he's trying to get set up as a normal citizen. He talks about, he's got no background. He's got, no information, no credit check, credit history, things like that, because he's, a masked vigilante most of the time. But they're making him send a certified check for $1,000 before they'll approve setting up his electric company. Gotham Power and Light is the company. And he's like, I even had a choice. And boy, doesn't that ring true with electric companies. And you get no choice. You get one, and they can treat you however they want and make you pay a deposit. I know for a fact, because we had to do that. Still, Anyway, so we go through a whole thing here. Nightwing trying to crack the case, figure out what's going on. He's just barely touching the surface of some of this stuff. We got more of these masked goons. They're back this time with a gigantic magnet. They're picking up like a check cashing place. That's interesting. Full page ad. Not so interesting. Long story short, Nightwing saves the day. Oh, look, I got some tearing happening in this one. Nightwing beats him up. He saves the day. I hate to spoil that for you. I didn't really find too much in this one. There's a lot of action, which was really cool, but it doesn't translate that well if you're not reading it page by page, which I'm not showing. But yeah, the whole thing with the magnet and the helicopter, he's stopping it for them. There's this whole bit where the entire thing comes crashing down, and explodes, of course, as it does. And then the final page is a bit more of Batman and Robin back in the Batcave while they're talking to him over a video call. And he can handle it with as bad as it is, and there's no Jim Gordons there. It's fine. It's fine. That's what I can say about it. I thought it was fine. On to issue 4, and the cover immediately is showing someone new. Who is this girl with blonde hair and pointy knives? We'll find out. Boy, that opening page, there's something going on. Bunch of guys who look like they've been beat to crap. Yep. Guess who's beating them to crap? We get this lady. No idea who she is or what's going on here, but clearly she doesn't hold the same kind of standard of killing like Nightwing does. Or Batman. They're both kind of, anti-death. That's cool. That's why they're the heroes. There is a bit here where they call her Lady Vic. So that's the best we've got going for a name at this point. They also introduced a couple other names here in these pages. I wrote down Angel Marin. Is this name going to be important? And then immediately after, Maxwell Reed. Is this name going to be important? They're still trying to figure out exactly what's going on with the story. I'm still lost and just trying to pick up the pieces here. And again, not really sinking my teeth into it yet, I guess. It's just not clicking as to what is fully going on at this point. But I continue on. Jumping to a lady with knives with blonde hair, I'm guessing clearly the Lady Vic that we talked about before. Her butler is massive. She did not look tiny. Here, we can jump back. We can assume this guy is of average build and height. She seems to be around the same size, so average build and height. What's this guy, like 8 feet tall or something? He's insane. And he's massive. Love it. It's hilarious. A theme that they introduced kind of early on is just like a one-off thing. I don't know what's going on with it still. I'll go ahead and tell you by the end of it, this comes up a couple of times, this reoccurring dream with Robin falling and Dick isn't able to like catch him and save him. I don't know what's up with that, but I don't know if I'm missing something from another series or if it's something that they have yet to reveal and they're just kind of dropping little pieces of it in so that you get it later on. There's a big reveal coming. If there is, I either missed it or it didn't happen in the first 8 issues, but maybe it will continue going, or they're referencing something that I don't know about, which if that's the case, I sure do hope they fully explain it because I don't know what happened. Is that Tim Drake as Robin? I don't know. Reoccurring nightmare. Not good. There's another point. There's been something going on I haven't mentioned up until this point, but we're 4 issues in. He's had this entire apartment storyline going on, and every time he talks to this landlord lady, all he knows is that he can't see her face, and she's got a thick Irish accent, which he has the hots for. Cool. I don't know what's going on with that, so I just made the note about what is up with this. So we get a little bit here, further into it, that Soames... Dudley, the detective, is playing both sides. He's here talking with the masked guys that have been the bad guys up until this point that Nightwing's been beating the crap out of, and he's working with them. Intrigue. There's a little bit here that I have to guess. Again, 1996, I am 5 years old at this point. It might actually, by this point, we're probably in 1997. Anyway, I'm almost 6 years old at this point. I don't remember anything like that, but I have a feeling turning guns in, I know that that's been an issue before in real world, so they might be taking a little stab at that here with Nightwing saying he's going to turn the guns in to make them into a new pair of sneakers. I don't know if that's something that people were doing. I know that there has been something in the past. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, looking at the lens of it of almost 30 years later. They move on. He's doing a whole thing where he's going onto a boat to try to interrogate this dude, but guess what? It was a setup. There's all these guys with guns on the boats. It's this. He uses the mattress. He's glad he doesn't have a waterbed. He uses that to like beat the guys up with. And then look who comes in. It's the Lady Vic with the knives, and she's just murdering dudes and has a kid, so that's not good. What's going on there? That's bad. And then we jump to like an interrogation scene. Just this guy's like held in custody and is being interrogated and is losing his mind. But it's all remote. There's no one else in the room with him. They just keep going to the camera, and it's like a recording. What's up with that? More intrigue. A bit too much of it. Let's have some answers. And that's issue 4. Number 5. Oh, well. Does that spoil it? Did he already? I missed it. I don't remember from when I was reading it if he'd already grabbed the kid and saved her. getting her away from Lady Vic, or if they were just like, oh, hey, don't worry about it. You're going into it knowing that Nightwing is going to get a handle on this situation. But there you go. There's that, and she's there with the blades as usual. But back to interrogation first. What's going on with that? So you get a bit more. This is, I made the note at this point, so clearly they reveal it. Angel Marin. One of the names that I was going, oh, is this one going to be important? He's currently being remote interrogated. Nope, she's still got it. Okay, so they just go ahead and spoil that right there, that at some point Nightwing grabs the kid and gets the kid away from Lady Vic. Cool. There's a bit of back and forth, a whole thing here while they do a fight, but Nightwing, of course, is the hero. He's got to save the kid. The kid is the girl, the boat owner's daughter, I believe. There's also a bit here. We do get to learn a little bit more about her in the slightest sense, in the fact that they explain the name is not Lady Vic, like short for Victoria. It's Lady Victim because she kills people and has victims, and that's why they call her that. That's a weird name, but okay. So there's an explosion. I'm sure they had boat insurance. That guy had a ridiculously big boat. He was a lawyer, and the boat was called the Quid Pro Quo. I'm sure he's got boat insurance. It's fine. But, of course, as it is, he saves the girl, saves the kid in this instance, and lets the girl get away. Well, lets the villain get away. In this instance, the villain is a girl. That's not always the case. But, hey, cool. Equal equality for all, right? Girls can be villains, too. Yeah, so there she is with the butler, giant man back there. Bivens is his name, which, what a great butler name. Apparently, if you want to be either a super villain or a superhero, you got to have a butler with a great name. Although he either needs to be a badass or he needs to be huge. Because you got Pennyworth. Anyway. Also, there's a whole plot line. Dick Grayson needs a real job, and he gets one in a bar. He's a bartender. I'll just mention that because that comes up here or there. Even more intrigue. The Lady Vic is working with Dudley, the detective. They're working together. Who's working with who? Who's pulling the strings here? I don't know at this point. I'm still reading through, but to see them together, I think Nightwing doesn't have a full picture of the story, and I don't either. But then we just sudden jump. What's going on with this? Suddenly we're at Batman. Bruce Wayne. He's having a swanky party like Bruce Wayne does. Something's going on here. There's a blonde chick. Is this the same one from before? I don't know. The issue ends. I don't remember this coming up again. I think this is the one thing. I have a feeling they're building to something even after the story arc for the fact that she's here with Bruce Wayne. Does she know what's going on? Does she know who Bruce Wayne is? I don't have the answer to any of these questions currently, even after reading the next few issues. Number 6. Hey, that's Robin. What's he doing there? Let's find out. And we open Nightwing on a roof, late for his second job. Dick Grayson can't be seen on a roof. Jump 2, interior, cop with a gun. What's up? Oh, it's a cop bar. So that's where he works. He works at the cop bar. He's, second in command to the main bartender. I don't know the internal workings of a bar, I suppose. But the other bartender is, chastising these cops, telling them, put your gun away. Don't do that. I mean, yeah, that seems pretty disrespectful to the job and everything that they're doing there and whatnot. So at least there's that, even though these cops seem extremely drunk. And then he mentions it as like they're going into work. That's not even, they're blowing off steam off of work. They're getting drunk before their shift. That's not what you want in a police force. This Bludhaven place seems like a bad time. Right here at the end, you get this little thing. He's just walking past and you get this plate. This made me go, wait, what? It's just like in the middle of this frame. There's 2 ladies eating ice cream. And I'm very confused until I get to the next page where he goes, oh, that's the landlady. He hears her voice. It goes, oh, that's the landlady. Immediately goes up to the redhead because of the thick Irish accent. And wrong. Nope, it's the other lady there. And awkward moment all around. Awkward moment with the ladies, back in the apartment. He's off his guard. Boom, he's jumped by somebody. Who is it? It's Robin. So Tim Drake comes to visit. They have a whole thing, and then they're going to go out and see the town because he thinks Batman sent him. But apparently Tim is just acting on his own, here to hang out. which is cool. They have a whole thing here. They go through a bit of a relationship. They talk about that they're kind of brothers, you know, because they both want to. It's a whole. I actually found this interesting. So far of everything there, it's been a lot of questions, not a lot of answers. But I found this whole interaction between the two of them really interesting because they both talk about their faults and greatnesses and how they relate to Batman and you know what one of them didn't have, but the other one did. And you know, Dick wanted to be Nightwing or wanted to be Robin, and Tim was invited. The whole thing. I did find it really interesting. I thought that was a cool dynamic that they kind of played out there, was the relationship between them and Batman. More of that recurring dream that I know nothing about with what's going on here. That's something. The two of them break up some crime, as you do. You know, Nightwing and Robin team up. They do a bit of talking. They do a bit of crime fighting. The whole thing there. It's all this stuff. They jump into action, and we jump back to the interrogation room. Angel, right? That was what we've got so far. He's being interrogated. It's all this stuff. All of a sudden, somebody comes in and grabs a head, and then you just see blood, and that's where it ends. And that made me go, whoa, what's up with that? That was cool. Almost at the end. Issue 7, we get a nice cover with that same kind of style of acrobatic flipping all around, starting at one point and moving through the entire frame. I really like the way they do that. I've noticed that that style is frequent. Rough Justice. With all of the credits across all of his little... Are they Batarangs still? If he's not... Are they Nightorangs? That's kind of a weird name. So a bunch of acrobatic stuff here. We get these flashbacks. It's all this stuff of what's happening here. It's at this point I made a note, and it's after that last issue as what's going on. I realized what happened. The main bad guy is the one who's twisting necks. Remember how it started? All those bodies washed up with their heads twisted around backwards. What's up with that? I didn't pick up on that. And then the end of that last issue was just like, oh man, what happened with the blood? Okay, so that's what's going on. So Nightwing is rounding up a bunch of guys here, and so you just get like a cut between the acrobatic, you know, him growing up, this stuff, his parents, and then he's just like fighting crime, and then the next issue, and then the next page, and the next page, and it's all like that for a bit until he's got them all, and he's got them all hanging up. They're alive. He keeps them alive, but now comes his interrogation, and he's in a meat cooler, because of course he's in a meat cooler. That's where a lot of interrogations go down. From my time working in a meat department in a grocery store, and it is where I did the most interrogations. The most was 0, but that's where I would have done the interrogations. We didn't have hanging hooks or anything. It was a grocery store. It's modern day. So we get to a whole thing here. There's also, oh look, Chuck Dixon did this one as well. Birds of Prey. Interesting. So there's a whole thing here with a barrel. There's somebody in the barrel. It's a whole, not good. Ooh, hey, remember Angel from the last time? And then they twisted his head around backwards and pickled him in formaldehyde so that you cannot identify how long he's been dead. What? That took a turn. Jeez. It was addressed to that detective Dudley, so cool. A bit more exposition with the lady who has an Irish accent, but she's actually Asian and from Hong Kong, so you learn a bit about that. That is a thing that happens, and reoccurring dream. Nightwing's got to call in the big guns here, got to figure out what's going on. He talks to Oracle. So we know a bit about that. I do, you know. This is her first introduction here, but I'm assuming she's been around in other things and stuff like that. Barbara, the whole thing happened. She's now Oracle, all of that. But then you also get a little cameo. He's talking to Wally. I remember from reading, if you watched last time, we talk about the Titans that I read, all the Teen Titans stuff. Wally's a character in that. So you get a little bit of that so that they can find out about Roland Desmond, which is a name that I don't recognize at this point in time. More stuff happens. There's a little bit here. We're just talking to this guy that they're clearly showing him from only this one angle. He's got multiple chickens in front of him. He grabs a drumstick, eats it, and then fully clean bone. That's weird. What's up with that? Why? But more of Dudley working for this guy, whoever he is, bad guy. This scene is happening with Dudley and the chicken eater. Everything's happening here. Big guy, Nightwing pops in. And then, I like this. This is a cool moment where you really get the scope of it. They've only shown this guy from different angles. He clearly has the ability to, like, a cartoon cat eating a fish and then just pull the bones out afterwards, but with a chicken leg, a completely clean bone. Gross. So this whole thing, and then he's talking, and the guy just stands up, and it's just this big looming shadow. Blockbuster. Who is this? What is this? I know nothing about it at this point, but I do know I got one more issue to go. I immediately wrote, as I'm reading this, since I'm doing this once a month to peel back the curtain a little bit, I started last weekend, pulled out the issues that I needed to do. I read them on the comic, on the tablet, but got everything ready for there, got ready to start taking my notes, and then I was trying to read one a day. Yesterday, for this, I sat down with issue 6, knowing I'd have to move through them, and I went, well, I could probably read some right before recording tomorrow. No, I moved straight 6, 7, and 8 were back to back to back because of how the story picked up. I don't know who Blockbuster is. I don't know if he's been in other things before. I know nothing about it. I see the cover of this one, and I'm like, that dude is ginormous. One of his fingers is approximately at least half the size of Dick Grayson's head. That seems a bit off for perspective. This guy's a monster. But he misses him. He's big, and, he even makes the joke here about guys who are really big and surprisingly fast for that size. It's not the same. That's not. He's very slow, so he's easily able to avoid him, but if he misses his avoiding, if he doesn't dodge properly, I should say, he gonna get clocked. This is cool. What a spread. Is this guy human even? The answer is yes. He appears to be. He's just ridiculous. I don't know his backstory. I don't know what's going on here at this point. He's got mostly a bald head, but with some side hair and also like sideburns that are just as long. It's a whole thing, but this is a spread. This is really cool. I like the artwork of what's going on here. It is an insane fight that's happening. But so there's this whole thing. They go through it, fight. Can't show the whole thing. There's our cover image. He's there. His clothes are all ripped up now. He's not quite as, completely shirtless as he was on the cover, but it's there, and he's about to crush him to death. What could he do? How does Dick Grayson get out of this one? Well, gun to the back of the head. It's Dudley to the rescue. Oh, no. He revealed he's been working with both of them the whole time, kind of, I guess. One thing leads to another. Nightwing's on the ground, knocked out, and wakes up in the middle of a biker gang. That's quite a transition. They're trying to make it look like an accident. If he just died suspiciously and got squished, that would be a real obvious. But he's a vigilante. If he gets killed by a biker gang, that's the kind of thing that happens. That's a more plausible, no more interrogation, and no Batman coming to figure out what's going on. They are afraid of Batman. They said that in there. So there's a whole biker gang. But you know what Nightwing can do? He can take like the next 8 to 10 pages, dodging bikes, getting out of the circle and out into things where he can take them down one at a time and just dismantles this thing. It's pretty cool. He does that. Yeah, I could show you the end of it here with this. It's just a pile of bodies and bikes from when he's done. And he moves on, he's got all this stuff, is ready to go. He's getting back to his apartment building, and there's a homeless man. He gives him some money. Instead of just a couple bucks, he gives him 50 and says, if you can do, get yourself cleaned up, hot room, a hot meal, and a shower. I guess a hot room, I don't know. A room and a shower, that kind of thing, and then maybe he'll give him some work. He's really trying to help him out. I thought that was a cool thing. But who's this guy? What's up with this? Why does he have a stick of some kind? Why is he beating the ever-living crap out of this homeless guy? Just brutal. Unnecessary. We don't know. But we jump straight back to Blockbuster here. Biker gang obviously lived. Nightwing's not going to kill him. Blockbuster's unhappy, and he's got this whole thing about counting to 10. And I did think this is pretty cool. Each one, he's like grabbing the support structure. This guy's a monster. He's grabbing the support beams out of this building and murdering these dudes as he counts to 10. It's this whole thing. We get all this, and then you just see Dudley out by the car, and the building collapses. And he's like, oh yeah, I do feel better about doing that count to 10. And that's where issue 8 ends. On that kind of a cliffhanger. What? Are you serious? That's it? I got to the end of it on the tablet, and I was like, wait. And I go back and I make sure I didn't miss anything, or I didn't accidentally double tap and like skip through multiple. That's it. That's where we're done. Seriously? That's how it ends? That's the first story arc. Clearly, to get me to come back next time, which I am. I'm really excited. I have a feeling I'm going to refresh myself next month when I watch this. I will watch this, is what I'm saying. Next month, I will watch this video to refresh myself on all of these things, since I won't read for a couple weeks, and then go into the next one, because I have a feeling I'll get answers to things like who Lady Vic is, that blonde guy. I have a feeling I know who that is. I've seen some of the the covers for the other issues that I haven't read yet, and I'm pretty sure he's that guy, but we'll see. I don't want to jump ahead too much. What's going on with this Blockbuster guy? Is he even human? Why is he literally able to destroy a building with his bare hands? That doesn't seem right. But in a world of supervillains and, you know, all kinds of experimental drug type stuff, maybe that's why. They may have explained it and I may have missed it. I may need to reread it. I'm not exactly sure. His head is ridiculous. Anyway, it started out slow, just to be real. Everything here, like I talked about, I was not understanding. It was way too much intrigue and not enough answers to keep me going. It was just this stuff, like one after the next of here's a new character, what's going on here. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I still have way more questions than I have answers at this point, so I'm really curious to know what's going on next. But it did catch me by the end. Started out slow. I mean, the first half of this story arc was like, okay. And then by the end of it's okay. So I'm really curious to know what's going on next, but that will be next time. So thanks for joining. That was these 8 issues that I've read. Join next month where I'll put out another video after I have read, I think it's another 9 issues. I do believe I looked up the next story arc and it was like issues 9 through 18. Maybe we'll get the answer to some of these mysteries of what's going on in Bludhaven. We at least figured out who's doing the head twisting. Blockbuster.